We are at a pivotal time in the history of this island. Basically, the biotech crew and Monsanto has pretty much conquered all of the other islands for practical purposes in terms of control of ag. They're present here, they don't have control, and the whole question is, are we going to let them take over? No. So, to put all of our sentiment into action, I have a bill before the council that would restrict the use of GMOs. And so we're standing up and fight. The bill, if we heard it on May 15th, I think, or May 14th, and it ended up having a whole day of public testimony. There were so many people present. On Wednesday the 29th, we'll be discussing it. There won't be any testimony at that time, but there is a lot of testimony coming in, both positive and negative. There's a lot of people invested in this. There's a lot of money to be made. And as everybody who knows anything about monopoly, predatory practices, the idea is to come in and make it look good and give it away for cheap and take control. These companies have control of like 90% of the seeds, get farmers to go along with an agreement that locks them in to various restrictions. They have to buy seed every year. But basically, this is a total takeover of our island, or as I see it. The point is that we have an opportunity to act, to do something. We would make history on this island.
What?
And I think, keep in mind, so the idea is when Pua Case went around and said, what district are you from? The question is, have you contacted the county council person from your district? You know, have you said it in writing? Have you contacted 10 friends and gotten them? The only way we'll get this through and counter the money forces on the other side is really in numbers and numbers. And at the same time, in the bill, I'm trying to balance that also those who have started using GMOs are also victims. They've been doing something that's legitimate, that they believe is going to help and help the world, and we need to do, how do we wean them off of this? How do we move towards Pure Island? Let me just say, in terms of the economic importance, there are, right now, there's no, we cannot sell GMO foods to Europe. We lose somewhere between $300 million and $4 billion in trade. We also have investors, such as in the beef industry and some organic crops, coming over here and looking, would this island be a reliable source of GMO-free food, such as GMO beef? And so it's an economic opportunity. I think someone earlier mentioned to me how the Japanese went to Prince Edward Island in Canada, and now they buy all their GMO-free soy there. I mean, the point is, in Japan, they're saying, we don't want to listen to your science, we don't want to listen to your marketing. We want toxin-free, GMO-free. You know, they were sold that Fukushima was safe, and they said, you fed us all these untruths, and we don't believe it, and this is what we want. Also, just yesterday and the day before, I attended a nutrition and fitness summit in Honolulu, and I think just one of the points that keeps coming out is how GMO foods are so much less nutritious, that what you get, that in terms of the total health of our species, what's happening to it. There's a lot that we can't control, the VOG, the other negative influences, but there are things that we can control, the food. And one of the things that surprised me is that somehow the biotech companies were given an exemption from a lot of the testing that would ordinarily be required for human consumption. And I think it's important to remember our county and our state is governed by the precautionary principle. And so every time anybody says to you, well, prove that this is unsafe. No, the burden is on them. The burden of proof is on them. And the precautionary principle says, if in the case of uncertainty, err on the side of conservation, err on the side of caution. So we must, right. So what I'm asking you is to put your beliefs into action. Contact your county council legislators, make a stand, get other people to come out. I do have some copies of my current draft of the bill that if anyone wants to, Lisa, would you pass the walk around? And if anyone doesn't have where to send testimony, I'll give that as basic. Just council testimony at cohawaii.hi.us. But if anyone doesn't have that, I'll give it to you. So, and please read up. There's so many books saying what the concerns are. I'm going to let the others speak on of their knowledge, and I just act that we need an action plan. Here's something where we can actually make a difference and do something and not just be opposing. I want to make one last comment, and that has to do with the state legislation. What's happening is the one place is where, as one of the Monsanto representatives said in Honolulu, it's these local governments that are getting in, interfering with our corporate policies. It's the people. So what are they doing to combat it? They're passing state legislation. And one thing, I'm going to give you an example of what this is right here. This is our home rule statute. This is what the counties can only legislate to the extent that we're permitted by the Constitution or statute. We're permitted by statute. And it says, each county shall have the power to enact ordinances deemed necessary to protect health, life, and property, and to preserve the order and security of the county. What was going on, here's an example of a bill that they sought to pass. They crossed out, SB 727, crossed out the words health and life. That meant the county would have no jurisdiction over agriculture, anything having to do with health. So I went over there. I somehow was the only county or state legislator speaking. And on the other side were 4 or 5 people representing Monsanto. And so here it is, totally gutting county government for every county in the state. It wasn't just to us. And it had passed all 3 Senate committees with only 1 senator opposing, Laura Thielen. And it's in a House committee. So I just went there and said, is this a joke? Are you kidding? You're going to put an ocean between the people and their first layer of government, and you're going to undermine all jurisdiction? Anyway, I just tried to shame them, and they did end up killing it. But, you know, but this is just one example. There are others. So I just think basically what's happening is there's a Monsanto rider on the federal level to give them immunities to suit. There's rights to farm whatever you want to farm. There are all kinds of bills. And also the Attorney General's office and the Corporation Counsel's office are sending out memos to say, here are, a dozen reasons why we think you shouldn't be doing this, that more legal work or more science. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and please put your sentiments into action, and let's make this island a model for the rest of the world. Thank you.